Ko is a loser who gave up on life until he met a baddie vampire who changed his whole life after he fell for her. The story opens with 14-year-old Ko Yamori sneaking out of his apartment into the quiet streets late at night. Feeling a thrill of freedom, he makes his way to the school playground to swing. As he rocks back and forth, Ko reflects on his recent sleepless nights and his awkward decline of a love letter from one of his female classmates. Yamori gets so engrossed in his thoughts that he loses balance and falls from the swing. Some moments later, he considers some of the solutions he has read online for his sleeping condition, one of which includes him talking to someone he can trust about it, but he can't implement this being a Hall ads. Doesn't even have any friends he talks to. He starts walking back home as he reads other cringe WikiHow articles from others like him online and finds some recommendations suggesting drinking booze. While Yamori considers how he has never taken such in his life, he suddenly comes across a vending machine. He moves closer and decides to buy a drink as suggested by the online community, but as he fearfully purchases this, hoping that he is not caught, being 14-year-old, a strange young girl named Nazuna Nanakusa finds him and accuses him. He becomes scared and quickly tries to escape, but she stops him, telling him she will not report him to the authorities. She tells him she can help him with his poor sleeping condition, surprising him, and begins to show him around the city, telling him why people find it difficult to sleep at night. After a while of taking him around to help him loosen himself a bit, she takes him to her place, saying she wants to give him some advice to help resolve his issues, and on getting there, Mizuna tells him to sleep on her futon, but he finds this cringy and attempts to run, thinking the lady wants play dirty with him, but she stops him and assures him she will just let him sleep. He decides to lie beside her, and some moments later, he pretends to sleep, which the lady uses as an opportunity to taste the flavors his blood comes in. Being a vampire, she finds his blood very tasty, and he suddenly wakes up, wondering why he has blood on his body. Yamori soon realizes that the strange girl is a vampire and becomes scared, thinking he has also become a vampire since vampires suck blood to create offspring. But she tells him that he is not yet vampire, explaining that to her, sucking blood is like eating. He asks her why he didn't turn into one, and she replies that it only occurs when a person in love with a vampire gets that vampire to suck their blood, relating it to copulation in humans. Some moments later, the vampire girl begins to levitate, and she asks him how he feels coming out at night. She then encourages him to come out more often, as it would be a waste if he doesn't keep this up, and while she speaks, Yamori suddenly tells her to turn him into a vampire, shocking her. She re-explains that he has to fulfill certain conditions. However, he tells her how he doesn't want to go back to his old life, living in boredom, as this is the first time he has felt this way, and he pleads that she should let him fall in love with her. She becomes embarrassed and tells him he can choose to do whatever he wants while she continues to have a taste of his blood as the vampire that she is. She takes him to the rooftop and tells him she wants to infuse the night more into him, so his blood can taste much better. She pushes him off and grabs him some moments later, and then she takes him flying around the city. The following night, he sneaks out once more and encounters Nazuna. As they stroll down the street together, he contemplates that he must make her fall in love with him if he hopes to be turned into a vampire. Soon, the girl suddenly turns around and tells him his blood tastes great, like it's some homemade dish. The following night, he goes around looking for Nazuna, and after searching and not finding her, he concludes that he doesn't have to see her every day since he won't turn into a vampire now, even though she sucks his blood. As he leaves, she suddenly appears and he yells at her, asking where she has been. She tells him she was wandering around looking for someone to suck from. This angers him, feeling jealous that she is sucking from someone else, but she tells him that sucking is like having a meal, comparing it to how humans have various options. Yamori reminds her that she said that sucking blood is also like copulation and asks her if she can just copulate with anyone then, but she tells him that's how vampires are. He then suggests that they exchange contact so he doesn't have to search for her every night, but she tells him she doesn't have a cell phone, surprising him. He wonders what they should do, and she suddenly remembers once having a phone, so she takes him to her place to search for it. She soon brings out a big old cellular phone, which is difficult to carry around, and tells him she doesn't need a phone. Some moments later, they both lie on the futon, and she asks him if she can suck his blood, but he refuses, explaining that he won't become a vampire yet even if she sucks his blood now, and then tells her to find someone else if she really wants to suck. She then confesses that she was also looking for him earlier but was embarrassed to say it, adding that his blood is also super tasty. He becomes surprised and then allows her to suck his blood. The next night, he finds it difficult to search for her again, and when she later appears, he shows her the watch transceivers he got, which will help them easily locate each other. He tells her about a pair of transceivers that he got when he was little but couldn't play with it because he didn't have any friends, so he decided to hide one of the transceivers in a location where someone else could pick it up. Then he would use his own to find it. After a while, he didn't get a call signal, so he went to take a look but couldn't find it anymore. He then thought of calling the missing transceiver with his, but didn't, and chose to keep it away in a drawer instead, hoping the person who found it will call someday. Yamori then shows Nazuna the watch transceiver from that time, and she laughs at him for wearing it. Then, they decide to test run the new transceivers and separate from themselves. Some moments later, Yamori decides to call the other watch. However, it feels quite strange as he has never spoken to anyone over the phone or any device before. They play with it for some time before Nazuna gives him a flight around the city again. She then takes him to his school and sucks his blood there. At this point, our boy won't live long enough to become a vampire. They soon depart. And while Yamori heads home, he wonders what happened to the old transceivers pair. Then, suddenly, he receives a signal on it and soon shockingly realizes that it is the girl who sent him a love letter, Akira. He asks Akira why she has his transceiver, and she points out that he gave it to her since their communication had dwindled. Surprised, he asks if he handed it to her personally, but she replies that he simply left it in their mailbox. She further says that he became gloomy, so she was worried because they are friends. This surprises Yamori as he reasons that this is a misunderstanding, but he plays along anyway. He then asks her why she is in her uniform at midnight, and she tells him she leaves home at 4 a.m. every day. She then asks if they can meet at the same time the next day. After separating from her, he quickly calls Nazuna to tell her that he actually always had a friend. From the next day onwards, Yamori leaves Nazuna's room early to meet Akira. Nazuna notices this and tells him he has been leaving quite early, suggesting he is meeting another woman. He becomes speechless and quickly leaves, realizing he's way too young for all this woman drama. He meets Akira, and while they silently sit together, he suddenly sees Nazuna spying from afar. She approaches them and accuses Yamori of playing naughty with a girl in such a place. Kyra is surprised he knows her, and he tries to explain his relationship with Nazuna, but she tells Akira that their relationship is purely physical, giving her the impression that they're clapping behind her back. Kyra asks if he likes her, and Nazuna begins to blush, feeling embarrassed. Then she grabs Yamori and sucks his blood to show Akira what she means by their relationship being physical. After, Akira is surprised. Wondering what happened, she sees 2 punctures on his neck and realizes that the strange girl drank his blood like he's some sort of fruit drink. Later in a coffee shop, Akira asks Yamori why he has not been coming to school, and he explains how he has lost interest and isn't finding fun there anymore, prompting her also to reveal that she has been feeling the same way since she has not been seeing him but still goes to school anyway. She urges him to come to school with him, but he is reluctant. Then Nazuna asks her where she has been when Yamori was alone, if she is truly his friend, as she claims. She leaves immediately, and Yamori quickly follows her, thinking she is pissed. He asks her why she is angry, but she refuses to respond and flies away. He goes around searching for her and later decides to call her with the transceivers to ask why she is angry, as he can't seem to understand. She soon appears and tells him she got pissed because he couldn't answer when Akira asked him to come to school with him, and he tells her that he was hesitant because he didn't know how to tell a human friend that he wanted to become a vampire. She is surprised that he referred to Akira as a human friend, which means she is his vampire friend, and she kisses him before flying off. The next night, Yamori sneaks out at midnight as usual and soon spots Nazuna. However, unsure of how to face her after their kiss the previous night, he quietly slips away and wanders the city aimlessly, purposely delaying their meeting. He begins to think about the kiss, reasoning that it's supposed to be between 2 lovers. Then he suddenly sees a couple from afar and is shocked, being the first time he will see such. He then suspects that maybe he is in love with her already and becomes excited that he has finally achieved this goal of falling in love with a vampire, which means he now has the chance of becoming a vampire too. She soon appears and he quickly gives him his neck to suck from, but she feels quite awkward and he explains that he has finally fallen in love with her. She is surprised but decides to suck his blood anyway. However, after she finishes sucking, he doesn't become a vampire and he wonders why. Then she tells him that he obviously hasn't fallen in love with her yet, and what he feels now due to the kiss is lust. The next night, Akira finds sleeping difficult and decides to step out to the street at midnight instead. Yamori, heading to Nazuna's place, meets her and is surprised to see her. He then suggests that they hang out together at Nazuna's place, and she agrees. At Nazuna's place, they play games for some time and then decide to sleep. However, while the three lie on the same futon, Akira feels uncomfortable and decides to leave, but she can't as it is now raining. After a while, Nazuna sucks some blood again, causing Akira to ask why they keep doing that. Yamori reveals that he hopes to become a vampire someday, amusing her as she has never heard him talk about his future dreams of becoming Dracula. However, she still doesn't understand why Nazuna still sucks his blood, and he further explains that he has to fall in love with Nazuna before he can become a vampire. They lie down together again, and while Akira thinks she will leave as soon as the rain stops and she is not feeling sleepy after all, she sleeps off and wakes up late for school. The next night, Nazuna visits a bathhouse for a soak, and as she gazes into the mirror, she feels a twinge of disappointment since vampires, after all, cast no reflection. They can't, since they're heartless beings that suck light out of everything. She suddenly has the buzz sound for her transceiver and runs out immediately to meet Yamori. When Yamori sees her, he becomes attracted as she appears to be very beautiful that night. He discovers that she was having her bath before coming to see him, and he decides to have his bath too, which would be the first time bathing in a public bathhouse. After bathing, they head outside, and Yamori realizes that his heart keeps beating fast and that he can't focus due to her attractive appearance. So, he quickly tells her to suck his blood like a freaking masochist, having realized that he derives two benefits whenever his blood is sucked. Firstly, it calms his any strong emotions and helps him to clear his head. Secondly, it helps him to assess his feelings. Nazuna sucks his blood so much that he becomes exhausted, and then he suggests that they rest at a nearby rest house. At the rest house, Nazuna tells him not to avoid his emotions as they cause varieties in how his blood tastes. Leaving the rest house, she tells him about other humans she has sucked blood from before, and he becomes shocked and jealous. He asks if she just goes around picking who to suck from, and she replies that she has always worked as a professional cuddle. She takes him home to show him how she does her business by offering him a massaging service. As she massages him, she explains that she always did this for her customers, and when they get relaxed and doze off, she uses the opportunity to suck their blood. Yamori feels jealous knowing this. Soon, Nazuna starts explaining the massage process as she does it, and after a while, she tries to suck his blood again, but she is interrupted by a customer named Shirakawa Kiyosumi, who has also come for a massage service. Nazuna tells Yamori to handle it as she is already tired from massaging him, but he refuses. However, she begs him to do it and even offers to pay him 2,000 yen, which entices him. However, he tells her he has not done it before, but she tells him to do the same thing she did for him and then promises to reward him with a kiss if he can do this for her. Meanwhile, Shirakawa had previously visited Nazuna for a massage when work was overwhelming and she needed some relief. Shikarawa waits to be attended to while Yamori and Nazuna argue about who should go, and when Shikarawa thinks of leaving, Yamori appears and tells her he will be doing the massage as the boss is on off. He soon begins the massage, and after observing him for a while, Shirakawa politely asks for his age and becomes shocked when she discovers he is only 14 years old. This prompts her to ask why he is working, and Yamori tells her he needs the money, explaining how he loves to experience the night, walking alone across the town and enjoying the scenery. Hearing this, the lady tells him she also used to do the same when she was his age. She then asks him why he stopped going to school, to which he replies that it got boring. Shirakawa also tells him that she likes her job, but it has increasingly become difficult for her to relate with her colleagues. Then, she begins to cry. Suddenly, she receives a call from her boss and immediately stands up to prepare to leave for work. However, Yamori, realizing that Shirakawa is in the same situation as him, refuses to let her go and blocks the door. He calls Nazuna, who enters through the wall and tells her not to let the lady return to her office. However, Nazuna misunderstands this and pushes her off through the window. As she falls, Yamori quickly jumps after her and saves her while Nazuna safely lands them. Yamori apologizes and tells her he doesn't want her to leave as she doesn't have to do what she doesn't like. But she tells him that it's her job and not like school that she can just decide to miss. Then, Yamori suddenly reveals that he wants to become a vampire so he can enjoy the night more. Shocking her, she begins to laugh at him for having such a ridiculous reason to want to become a vampire. Yamori heads to the middle of the road and tells her she doesn't want to miss out on this feeling. But she tells him she can't continue forever as she is now an adult. She thanks him for easing her heart and then prepares to leave. He suddenly tells her that he will also turn her into a vampire when he becomes one, and she smiles. In the next scene, Yamori and Nazuna go to a midnight pool party to have fun, and while Yamori sits by the pool awaiting Nazuna to dress, He becomes embarrassed seeing different ladies dressed in bikinis, and he wonders what Nazuna will put on too. However, Nazuna appears in an odd dress as opposed to what he was expecting, prompting him to ask her why she is dressed like that, and she replies that her swimsuit is underneath before leaving to get a drink. Some moments later, Yamori sees some guys hitting on Nazuna, so he becomes jealous and immediately heads there to take her away. Later, Yamori is sad as they head home, and he tells her he didn't enjoy himself at the party as there were too many crowds. Nazuna then asks him if he would like to swim, and while he wonders what she means, she grabs him and flies him off to his school's pool, throwing him in it. The next sucking begins. The next night, as Yamori crosses the street, he worries that someone who knows might spot him, only for Shirakawa to suddenly call out from behind, startling him. Relieved after realizing it's her, she takes him to buy a drink and appreciates him for offering to turn her into a vampire. After Shirakawa leaves, it suddenly starts to rain, and Yamori quickly finds a shed to stay under. While waiting for the rain to stop, he sees a man hitting on a lady from afar, but the lady, named Kikyoseri, turns the man down and approaches him. She tells Yamori that the man was offering to pay her, causing Yamori to sympathize with her for receiving such treatment from men, but she tells him that she was waiting to be hit on instead, surprising Yamori. She further tells him she is often bored and often goes out with different men to kill time. She soon begins to seduce him, making him embarrassed. As he turns away, she grabs his drink and leaves, and Yamori follows after her, demanding that she return his drink. However, she takes him to a solitary place and soon begins to tell him about her problems, making him realize that she feels the same way he feels too, so he tries to console her. She immediately hugs him, pretending to be depressed, but attempts to suck his blood unawares to him. However, Nazuna appears just in time to hit her off, severing her arm. The lady grabs her severed arm and rejoins it, shocking Yamori, who then realizes she is a vampire. Our boy's just a walking blood bank to these vamps. The lady tells them that she heard Nazuna is seeing someone, so she decided to check him out. She then attempts to attack Yamori, but Nazuna stops her, and they engage in a fierce battle. However, while Nazuna engages with the lady, another lady vampire appears and takes Yamori away to their base. On getting there, he meets some vampires who offer that he either chooses one among them who will turn him into a vampire or be killed. He picks Nazuna instead, shocking them as they wonder why he will choose such a socially awkward lady who acts in aversion to everything they do. The vampires then compete to get him attracted to them, but he doesn't show interest in any of them, and they tell him that if he doesn't want to turn into a vampire, they will kill him since he already knows too much about them. He reveals that he wants to become a vampire, shocking them. He further explains that he wants to fall in love with Nazuna, and while he says this, Nazuna suddenly arrives and begins to feel embarrassed hearing Yamori say this. She tells him to let them go, but one of the vampires stops her and asks her what her plan for making Yamori fall in love with her is, but she replies that she doesn't know yet. The vampires wonder what they are not doing together then, and Yamori reveals that Nazuna finds his blood tasty while he seeks to fall in love with her in return. They remain skeptical about Nazuna's willingness to make him an offspring, and Yamori tells them not to worry as he can stay for as long as possible till he becomes a vampire. However, they reveal, much to his shock, that the process to become a vampire takes a full year, and after that window passes, it will no longer be possible. Yamori and Nazuna prepare to leave, but before they go, Nazuna remembers that she hasn't given him his reward for helping her with the massage for Shirakawa, and then kisses him before the other vampires, embarrassing him. She takes him off. Yamori meets Akira and explains his predicament, and she makes him realize, based on the fact that vampires kill humans who know about them, that if he doesn't turn into a vampire within a year, they will kill him. He becomes scared and starts to panic that he might have less than a year left to live if he doesn't fall in love with Nazuna. But Akira calms him and tells him she will help him. The next day, Akira gets to school and meets Mahiru, a childhood friend, napping by the staircase. He tells her he was up all night, making her wonder what he was doing, and he shyly reveals that there's a girl he likes, surprising her, but she doesn't know he's talking about Mia Khalifa. Quote, later at night, Kikyuseri meets Yamori, and on seeing her, he tries to run, but she stops him. A few moments later, they begin to discuss, and she asks him what progress is on trying to fall in love with Nazuna, but he sadly replies that he doesn't know what to do anymore as he doesn't think he can meet the 1-year limit. Seti finds this hilarious and tells him to count on her as she would help him. In the next scene, Yamato heads to Nazuna's place to ask her on a date, but she refuses. However, he pleads with her till she agrees, and while on the date, Yamori goes through a list of date ideas Seti gave him. After a while, Nazuna discovers and leaves immediately in disgust. Yamori returns home feeling dejected as it seems his fate is sealed. Meanwhile, Nazuna continues with her games and soon begins to feel hungry. She then decides to agree to Yamori's date and goes back to meet him. After the date, when Yamori returns, he comes across Mahiru walking with some people. Thinking he didn't notice him, Yamori continues walking. But Mahiru soon stops him and they both head to a solitary place to talk. Mahiru regards him as a friend, amazing him as Yamori has always envied and admired him for his exceptional qualities. Akira suddenly appears, surprising Yamori, who thinks she is out too early and wonders where she is going. Mahiru soon finds out that they have been seeing each other every night and he asks about what they do anytime they are together. Yamori lists some activities and Mahiru is surprised that both of them like being with each other. Then, he decides to leave, saying someone is waiting for him. As he leaves, he smiles and thanks Yamori for giving him some courage, startling him and leaving him confused. However, he is glad that he made Mahiru happy. In the next scene, Yamori meets Nazuna and she holds his hands as they walk along the street after seeing Mahiru holding a lady's hand. A few nights later, Sari gets a string of messages from a guy she used to see to idly pass the time with men as she usually does. She finds this offensive and reasons that she might kill him if he continues to stalk her. Even though she initially considered him an offspring, she soon sees Yamori, and while she excitedly runs toward him to hug him, Nazuna suddenly appears and hits her off, making Yamori yell at her for hitting her. Sari tells Nazuna that she had no intention of hurting him and takes her leave. However, while she leaves, Yamori asks her if she has any problem she wants to discuss with him as she formerly suggested, but she lies that she doesn't. In the next scene, Yamori and Suri head to a karaoke bar, and while they try to select the song to sing to, a creepy guy named Akiyama starts to hit the door ceaselessly, seeking Suri's attention. Yamori finds this odd, wondering what's happening, while Siri, on the other hand, becomes offended and concludes that she would just kill him. She dashes at the strange guy, but Yamori quickly intercepts and saves him. Sari tells Yamori not to interfere, but he refuses, and instantly tells Akiyama to run. On getting to a safe place outside, he asks Akiyama what he is to Sari, and he trembles. Yamori realizes he's in love, so he asks Akiyama to tell him about it so he too can know what it means to be in love. Akiyama begins to narrate how he met Sari, and how he gradually began to like her until it became an obsession that he couldn't do without. While they talk, Sari appears and demands that Yamori leave so she can kill Akiyama, but he refuses. Meanwhile, Yamori secretly calls Nazuna with his transceiver. Sari suddenly launches an attack, but before she can reach Yamori, Nazuna arrives and knocks her down, pinning her to the ground. She asks Sari while inflicting pain on her why she wants to kill the guy, and Akiyama interferes, asking Nazuna to leave Sari as it's all his fault. He explains that they used to be friends, but he messed it up, and Sari informs Nazuna, lying, that she was just friends with him like she usually does with other guys and never planned to make him an offspring. Nazuna soon frees Sari. Sari then tells Akiyama they need to separate and stop seeing each other. However, Yamori meddles, accusing Sari of being mental and not knowing what she wants. He tells them to talk as friends for a while, and as soon as they begin to talk in private, Sari begins to cry, declaring that she had so much fun with him and she doesn't want to separate from him. They both confess how they feel about each other, and Akiyama suddenly asks that she make him her offspring. After turning him into a vampire, they all head to a karaoke bar to celebrate the new offspring. In the next scene, a female vampire named Kohakobi heads out to the street to promote her coffee shop, only to receive a message from one of her staff saying they won't be able to work that day. So she thinks of who to use as a replacement. Then she suddenly meets Nazuna as she returns and asks her to do it. At the coffee shop, Nazuna dresses up for the role and practices she would attend to the customers. Meanwhile, Kohakobi plans to use this opportunity to show Yamori her cuteness for turning her down the previous day. Soon, as they carry out their responsibilities attending to customers, Yamori meets a beautiful lady named Arisa, who immediately catches his attention. He tells her he is there for Kohakobi, but Arisa replies that she is popularly called Midori at the cafe. Arisa further explains that she used to be the most popular at the cafe shop before Midori came to take the status from her. However, Yamori doesn't find Midori any more attractive than the other vamp maids at the shop. Later, Midori, Nazuna, and Yamori spend time together after work, and Midori suggests that they take selfies to post on the cafe's social media page. And as she checks her phone, she sees some appealing pictures of one of the vamp maids, whom they identify as Arisa. They realize a stalker is targeting her, and Midori asks Yamori to help her find him. The next day, while Yamori meets Arisa, he analyzes how the stalker might have taken the pictures. He suspects the pictures must have been taken from a particular window and goes to check. He then reasons that the stalker must have stood on the balcony behind the window to take the pictures. Seeing this, Arisa becomes uncomfortable and tells him she needs to get changed so she can start her shift, making him embarrassed. After leaving, he meets Nazuna and soon discovers a locked door leading to the balcony. He decides to check the view of the room from the balcony, but since it's locked, they head outside and Nazuna flies him to the balcony instead. On getting there, Yamori tells Nazuna that the pictures were taken from the balcony, but the only problem is that the locked door is the only way leading there, which means only the vampires could reach there, thus making all the vamp made suspects. As they talk about this, Arisa suddenly opens her balcony and finds them, making her embarrassed. Soon, Yamori brings out his phone and tries taking pictures from the balcony to see the angle the peeper snapped from. For better analysis, Nazuna goes in to pose, but her pictures come out awful, making Yamori realize that the pictures Arisa posted were very good pictures, which means that she must have posed for them by herself as opposed to how awful they ought to look when a peeper quickly takes her pictures. He then comes up with a plan. After the night's work, he and Midori hide in a locker while Nazuna pretends to be going home, leaving only Arisa at the cafe. Soon, when Arisa brings out her phone and places it by the window to begin taking pictures, then Midori and Yamori suddenly appear, and Azuna grabs the phone from the balcony. She's been exposed. They realize she did it to gain attention as she was jealous of Midori, who took the top maid status from her. However, Midori encourages her that it's normal to feel that way. From that day onwards, Arisa becomes more comfortable with her colleagues. One night later, Nazuna brings Yamori to her home to show him the new upgrades she's made, which she intends to use for her cuddling business. Yamori steps out that night to find a customer, and as he goes about, he looks out for those who are tired that he can talk to. He soon comes across a lady smoking and approaches her, demanding that she give him time for a chat. He soon tells her that he is offering a cuddle buddy business for people who are sleep deprived, but the lady misunderstands it. However, he explains that he is not the owner, but only assists. The lady then tells him that there's a law that minors cannot be employed between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., threatening she will report the business to the proper authorities. Yamori becomes scared, but the lady reveals that she is only kidding. She soon reveals that she is a private detective named Anko Ugwaisu, surprising him as he never knew detectives existed. When she discovers that Yamori frequents the streets at night, she asks him if he knows someone called Akiyama, shocking him for some moments before lying that he has never heard of him. She soon leaves, and Yamori returns home. In the following scene, Mahiru invites Yamori and Akira to join him on an adventure to their school at night. They jump over the gate and decide to unravel the popular 7 mysteries in the school. After a while, they discuss a teacher that went missing 10 years earlier and whose ghost is said to appear in a classroom at night. Out of curiosity, they head to the classroom to find out if it's true, and on opening the classroom door, they see a strange figure standing inside and they become startled. The old man approaches them and jumps at Akira, but Yamori, wondering if he is a vampire, grabs a chair and hits him off, saving her. He is surprised to see a vampire looking so unkempt, unlike how he has always thought vampires are. The man warns them to leave immediately before he loses control. However, Anko Ugwaisu soon intervenes and offers that the vampire sucks her blood. He immediately jumps at her and sucks but finds it distasteful. She informs the youngsters that the man has restrained himself from drinking any blood for 10 years and asks him why he became a vampire in the first place. He regretfully replies that he was tricked, and Anko consoles him. She then puts a silver ring in his palm, which instantly begins to hurt him, and then he peacefully fades away by sunrise and dies. Yamori becomes angry and blames her for killing him, but she tells him this was the best for the man, informing him that he knows nothing about vampires. She gives them her business card to reach her whenever they have something to discuss, and she leaves. Yamori starts fretting over what he just experienced and, realizing how little he knows about vampires, decides to turn to Nazuna for answers. On reaching her home, Nazuna, who has been waiting for him to come, immediately attempts to suck his blood, but he suddenly remembers the experience he just had and reflexively pushes her away. Realizing what he has just done, he apologizes to her and explains all that happened. He tells her that the detective was convincing him otherwise about his decision to become a vampire, prompting Nazuna to ask him if he has given up. However, he replies that he doesn't intend to, but he's worried, revealing that detective actually killed the vampire. Nazuna is surprised and wonders if humans can really kill a vampire, and he tells her that he doesn't want her to be killed because of him. In the next scene, he meets Mahiru, who asks him why he wants to become a vampire, questioning if he would also trick people into sucking their blood or refrain from drinking anyone's blood and lose control afterward. Yamori returns to Nazuna, and they head to his home. She asks him if he has reconsidered becoming a vampire, and he tells her the question. Mahiru asked him about why he wants to become a vampire. He answers that he wants to become a vampire because of the freedom he gets at night. Then, Nazuna helps him realize that the real reason he wants to become a vampire is because it is out of the ordinary he had always experienced. She explains that when the feeling he gets at night also becomes ordinary, he won't enjoy it anymore, adding that vampires live boring lives, unlike he had always thought. He thinks about this and visits the detective to ask her why she's against him becoming a vampire, and she replies that vampires are evil from the human perspective. She further explains that even though humans do evil to one another sometimes, vampires only ever make people unhappy. She then asks him the same question Mahiru asked him, and he goes speechless. She tells him he will never be able to become a vampire anyway since he can't fall in love, which will make him a liability to the vampires eventually. The detective continues, threatening that he remains human or dies by her hand as a vampire. She tells him she will eventually kill every vampire, causing him to defend himself in return, saying he doesn't believe all vampires are evil, and explaining that they can also understand people's vulnerabilities, seeing that it will not listen. The detective decides to call the police and report him, telling them to be on the lookout for a boy who has recently been roaming about the street at midnight. Yamori becomes scared and runs off immediately. He soon hears the police siren and quickly hides in his school's playground. One of the vampires he met at the base, Hatsuka, meets him there and takes him to her home. On getting to her place, some people excitedly welcome her, shocking Yamori as he wonders what relationship she has with them. Hatsuka goes in to take her bath while Yamori waits in the living room, wondering about the weirdness of the place and who those people he met earlier were. He wonders if they are her potential offspring, but reasons that they are both male and female. While he thinks about this, Hatsuka calls him from the bathroom, asking him to get him her towel. However, on seeing Hatsuka, he becomes shocked to see that his chest is flat, realizing that he's a guy or not a girl, as he had always thought. Meanwhile, Nazuna meets the vampires at the base and reveals that Yamori might not become a vampire. Shocking them, she further says she wants them to leave him alone, even if he doesn't become a vampire. But they disagree, one of them. But the way to solve the issue is to kill him, but replies that she will kill her in return if she does that, prompting the lady to ask her who Yamori really is to him. Yamori explains how the detective killed the vampire, surprising Hatsuka, who then reveals that even vampires don't know much about themselves either. While they talk, she receives a message notification showing the picture of the current occurrence at the vampire's base. He shows Yamori the picture and tells him the consequence surrounding him eventually not becoming a vampire. She then offers that he becomes his offspring, as it's unlikely that he will fall in love with Nazuna anyway. He suggests he has a way of tricking people's brains into thinking they are in love with him and expresses his confidence in his ability to make him a vampire. However, Yamori declines the offer and says he will wait till he falls in love with Nazuna, as he doesn't want Nazuna ever to be bored, shocking him. Yamori leaves and runs off to the vampire's base, thinking Nazuna has been hurt. However, he discovers Nazuna is no longer there. He leaves immediately, and as he runs across the street looking for Nazuna, some policemen find him and approach him, but he escapes before they can reach him. Meanwhile, Nazuna gets to a vending machine and attempts to buy some booze when Yamori suddenly appears beside her, the same way they met at the beginning. Nazuna tries to walk away but remembers her discussion with one of the vampires earlier, who said she has to find a way to make Yamori fall in love with her, as this is the only way he can be safe. Nazuna and Yamori soon talk about their experiences since they met, and Yamori promises to fall in love with her. Nazuna suddenly draws him closer and kisses him. She becomes determined to be the kind of vampire worth falling for,